Hello and welcome to this latest Lukozer retro game review, and in this instance I use the word game in the loosest possible sense of the term. In a moment of sheer sadomasochism I have chosen Hard Drivin. Now this one needs a bit of an introduction before I can actually show you the Commodore 64 version that we're about to play here. So if all goes well, let's start by showing you the arcade original that this is a conversion of. So this is the arcade original, and as you can see it is a 3D polygon based driving simulator. In fact it was the first ever arcade game or arcade race driving simulator to use 3D polygons, and it looks reasonable enough. I mean, I even at the time I didn't think it looked that impressive. It was just the speed with which it was able to render the polygons that I thought made it look okay. This is the stunt track that you're seeing here, complete with, well, getting through the checkpoint. So with that in mind, and things haven't exactly got off to a great start with the title page here, where you see that part of the bridge that this car is jumping over has embedded itself actually within the car. So yeah, the perspective on the car is completely fucked up. And that's the least of its problems. Now also bear in mind that this game, which was made by Tengen and released by Domark, was made in 1989. And think about how far into the Commodore 64's history 89 is. We're approaching pretty much the end of its life. 89 was the year that I got my Amiga, and indeed, although I never actually had the game, I did play the Amiga version of this, and I thought the Amiga conversion was bad enough. Now, the game, well, it always does border on the unplayable anyway, but if you're using the manual gears in this, you've got no hope. So I'm going to stick with the automatic gearbox, and I'll start on the stunt track because the stunt track is the more interesting, and as you saw it was the stunt track that the clip from the arcade original was taken from. Okay, brace yourself, here we go. And immediately, what the fucking fuck is this? I mean, sound-wise, it sounds like a Spectrum. It looks worse than a Spectrum. I'm off the road. I cannot barely control the car. If you look in the centre of the dials, there's this white line across the this red bar, and that's telling you how centralised your steering wheel is. I finally got it centred. In fact, compared to normal, that's doing really well. So I've jumped over the bridge, although you'd be forgiven for thinking, but what the fuck is this? There's a car which, okay, it did crash into me. A lot of the time you only have to miss it by so much as half a pixel, and you go straight through the fucking thing. I mean, it looks like I've got to go over the bridge again. I mean, like, the road, how many roads do you fucking know that are blue and yellow? Striped. At the moment, we're supposedly doing something in the region of 140. I've slowed right down. I was doing 140. So now I've got to somehow get back onto the fucking road within 6 seconds, which you know, with this controller, okay. Somehow I am back on the road again. I mean, look at it! I mean, this car that's approaching me here, that's a car. It looks more like a fucking bungalow. And there it goes, that was a car. Alright, here we go. I've got to somehow try and get over this fucking... Right, I've now gone way off the road. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck I crashed into there. But, right, let's try again. There goes the fucking bungalow car again. Now, alright, I'm going to have to slow down, try and get into lane. Oh, fucking, what is this? Right, well, and this, you know, the game goes on far longer than I dare bloody, you know, even in my worst nightmares I wouldn't have imagined it to go on as long as it does. Right, I think I'm going straight, yeah, I can't even see what the fuck, you know, I'm doing now. Okay, I'm off the road and crashed again. Right, does that mean I got round that fucking thing or what? I haven't got a clue. No, I didn't. Right, well, alright, so we'll try and steer. I mean, steering is a thankless fucking task at the best of times. Yeah, I think I'm about to come off this thing. Right, okay, I'm still on it. I mean, I think I'm still on it. I mean, look, I'm fucking, what was that? Alright. Oh, Jesus Christ. And it... I just don't know where to start with this fucking thing. You know, is it worse than Karnov? Yes, it's worse than Karnov. I mean, can you imagine something, you know, that could achieve that, being worse than Karnov? Well, you don't have to imagine it, here it is. Oh, fucking, what is this? I think I'm going, no, I've gone off the, no, I am back on the track again. Alright, okay, so I managed to get round that thing, but now I've got this impossible task of trying to, you know, straighten up and go in a straight line. So that car that I was actually ploughing into has gone through. Oh, thank fuck for that. Right, where do I start? Graphically, it is a stagnant heap of festering shit. And on this screen, yes, you can clearly see, right, it's a Commodore 64. So they haven't just ported over the Spectrum version like they did in Karnov. This was programmed from the outset to look like it does. Then you have the sound, that constant beeping that's meant to be tyre squeal. Somewhere within either Domark, I think it was them who actually wrote the game, and whoever it was who actually published it, but at no point did anybody at Domark look at this and say, you know what, this is fucking bollocks, just scrap it and start again. And if any of them at any of the devs team for this game, surely one of them had the sense to say that, but no. I mean, the kind of person with the mentality to look at this game and say, yes, that's good for release, I wouldn't trust them to be able to switch a fucking Commodore 64 on, let alone actually, you know, create a game that's worth playing as this was. Now, thankfully, the publishers did actually have the sense to take one look at this and shelved the Commodore 64 version. They said there is no fucking way we're releasing this. So the Amiga and Atari ST versions came out on time, the Spectrum and the Amstrad versions came out on time. The Commodore 64 version initially never saw the light of day. The only way you were able to get hold of it was included as part of a compilation. I can't for the life of me remember the compilation. I'm sure someone will be able to tell me, and if I know at least one person will. I know Layden knows. But even with that compilation, surely someone who was putting this compilation together for the Commodore 64 would have taken one look at this game and said, you know what, the compilation would be better if we just don't put this fucking game in. I mean, seriously, what a fucking load of bollocks. You can't... I mean, it is one of those games that has to be seen to be believed. I mean, you know, as the fact that it does redefine the term utter shite means I would still advise you to, you know, actually download it, to try it, and just to see for yourself that, you know, this does exist. This isn't a figment of your imagination, and I haven't just quickly knocked this up just to, you know, take the piss out of, you know, hard driving. This is the genuine Commodore 64 version. I mean, right, I'll put you through some more horror and have another go. This time we'll start on the speed track. Okay, so bear in mind speed track. So we need speed here. We need the sense. Well, we need not only the sense of speed, I mean just the sense that we're fucking moving will do. We're supposedly doing 140 mile an hour here. It's barely fucking moving. Now, because I started on a straight, it means that I can actually, you know, keep it going in a straight line. But once the first corner goes, you can then forget about ever actually getting this car returning back in a straight line. It was a small kink in the road that I was trying to get round, so I made the mistake of turning the wheel, which, you know, straight away is, that's you fucked in this game. Oh, okay, now I've got a car slamming into me, and I say car advisedly, it's one of the, you know, cars that looks like a fucking bungalow again. I mean, that car that went past does look extremely vaguely like a car, but, I mean, the other thing, I mean, what sort of car is it meant to be? You know, the only thing I can think of that, you know, might look like that is a people carrier, which, you know, you're always going to see going round fucking racetracks. So it's a people carrier that looks like a fucking, well, a cross between a bungalow and a garden shed. You know, while you're racing around this, you know, this road that's blue and yellow stripes. And oh, fucking, what is this? I mean, look at it. It's just, you know, oh fucking, okay, I got past one, didn't get past that, what a fucking shame. They could not have made it any more, you know, ridiculous if they'd actually set out to, you know, do so intentionally. It's like they've said, right, I'll tell you what, you know that game Hard Drivin, I fucking hate it, so why don't we make a game that is so shit that even fans of the arcade original will, you know, hate it so much that they will never want to, you know, see it again for as long as they live. And somebody else at Domark has said, that's a great idea, we'll do exactly that. And, you know, let's face it, that is fucking exactly what they've done. I mean, okay, unlike Karnov, the arcade original of this was reasonable. I didn't think it was, you know, fantastic. I thought it was very ordinary. I was never a fan of it. But, I mean, it wasn't an utter pile of shites like Karnov was. But the fucking conversion is, I'd say conversion, I mean con, you know, the first three letters is right, but the rest of it, oh god. If you know, if you weren't around in the days of the Commodore 64, and this is the first thing, you know, the first Commodore 64 game you ever see, this is what I mean about, you know, can't drive in a fucking straight line. There we go. Alright, I mean, if this was the first Commodore 64 game you ever saw, because you weren't around at the time, you'd think, you know, all these people who, you know, say retro is great are fucking monged in the head. Yeah, is this the sort of game that, you know, people, you know, back in the day thought were great? No, it's not. You know, none of us did. We, you know, we do actually possess, you know, brain cells. You know, our brains didn't turn to shit. We did actually, you know, see this game for what it was, which was, you know, absolute bollocks of the highest order. Thank fuck for that. And it's and now I've got to give it a rating. Where do I start? I don't think I can give it a rating because this game, you know, sends my scoring system into total meltdown. You know, minus 10 out of 10 is the lowest I can give it, and believe me, it fucking gets it. Minus 10 out of 10, no question. It is on par with Karnov. Actually, it could even be worse than Karnov, and that takes some fucking doing. But yeah, this lot did it all right. It has no redeeming features at all. The graphics, I mean, okay, the graphics here are reasonable-ish, and, you know, the graphics on the dials are reasonable-ish, but the in-game, and they're fucking taking a piss, aren't they? The music at that extremely duff title page is reasonable. So, okay, I'll give it minus 9.9 out of 10 because it does have, you know, a couple of areas where it does, you know, show it to be a bit better than Karnov. So, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I was wrong. I did say it was worse than Karnov, but yeah, I stand corrected on that. It is minus 0.1 better than and no, not minus. It is 0.1 better than Karnov because this scores minus 9.9 compared to Karnov's minus 10. And that's me being very generous to it, I would hasten to add. So that's Hard Drivin. What a fucking piss take. Well, I mean, I'm sure the next video I do will be a better game because, I mean, I could make the next video Knight Rider and it will be a better game. So, yeah, it's, well, at least, yeah, whatever the next video is, it's going to be a more pleasant experience for me than this was. So, yeah, with that in mind, let's get this fucking thing out of my sight, and I'll see you at the next video.